This quiet slope in Central Park once held streets, property lines, and the homes of an entire community. Near West 85th Street, today's paths cross the former center of a community historians call Seneca Village. There were houses, sheds, barns, a school, 3 churches, cultivated fields, orchards, wells, and family burial grounds. Then New York chose this ground for Central Park, took the land, removed the buildings, and scattered the residents. Calling it a village buried beneath the park is vivid. The truth is less literal and more revealing. Even the familiar name came later. No surviving record proves the residents called their home Seneca Village. The settlement began in 1825, 3 miles uptown from the crowded center of New York's population. The street grid had been drawn on paper, but most uptown avenues still existed only as projected lines. In 1824, white cartman John Whitehead bought 17 acres here and divided them into 200 lots. Beginning the next year, Whitehead sold those early plots to African Americans who began building a community of their own. The African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church acquired nearby land, initially for a burial ground, anchoring an important institution. Families raised houses, cultivated ground, dug wells, kept animals, and built stability beyond the city's crowded lower wards. New York abolished slavery in 1827, but legal freedom did not erase racist violence, exclusion, or restricted opportunity. For Black New Yorkers facing hostility and unhealthy downtown housing, this rural settlement offered distance, land, and relative autonomy. By the 1840s, Irish immigrants were renting homes there, making the village Black-led, integrated, and more diverse. By 1855, researchers estimate about 225 people lived here, roughly 2/3 African American and 1/3 European descended. The condemnation map records houses, sheds, barns, stables, a school, and 3 churches across the village's irregular ground. African Union, AME Zion, and All Angels Episcopal stood near the social heart of the community. Colored School Number 3 educated children there, while churches organized worship, burial, mutual aid, and community life. More than half of the village's African American households owned their land, an unusual level of ownership for New York. That rate was about 5 times the property ownership rate among all New Yorkers, and several Black women owned land. Land also carried political weight, because New York placed a property test on Black men who wanted to vote. After 1821, African American men needed $250 in property. White men faced no equivalent property test. In 1826, only 16 Black New Yorkers cast ballots. A deed could mean shelter, wealth, and political voice. Residents worked as laborers, drivers, gardeners, cooks, porters, preachers, teachers, laundresses, sailors, barbers, and skilled tradespeople.
How is your garden doing?
Their homes were not identical. Some were modest. Others rose 2 or 3 stories with stone foundations and metal roofs. Archaeology later recovered stylish ceramics, combs, buttons, pencils, medicine bottles, a toothbrush, and butchered animal bone from household life. Those objects challenged 19th century descriptions that reduced the village to shanties, squatters, and people without legitimate claims. By the 1840s, park advocates wanted a huge public breathing space for a city growing crowded, unhealthy, and ambitious. They argued that open land could improve public health and help New York rival the grand capitals of Europe. The first serious site, Jones's Wood on the East River, met resistance from its owners and objections over size and location. Attention shifted to a much larger central tract containing the Croton Receiving Reservoir and terrain expensive to develop as streets. In 1853, the state authorized New York City to acquire this land through eminent domain for Central Park. There is no evidence officials selected the central site specifically to destroy Seneca Village. That claim goes beyond the record. But officials also gave no consideration to carving out the village's heart, even as its institutions and homes were documented. Pro-park journalists often described the entire site as wasteland and its residents as impoverished squatters, erasing legitimate ownership from view. Across the roughly 800 acres planned for the park, an estimated 1,600 people lived on farms, estates, and settlements. Seneca Village was the densest and most established of those communities, with its own institutions and unusually durable family roots. The 1856 condemnation map translated that lived place into parcels, owner names, structures, and values for compulsory purchase. Owners could object to the assessment, and surviving petitions show several argued that the city's offer undervalued their improvements. Current research finds Seneca Village property was assessed consistently with the rest of the site, usually near fair market value. But market value priced land and structures. It could not replace neighbors, institutions, political footholds, or a community built over decades. Preacher William Matthews listed money spent on his house, well, trees, shrubs, and raising the property to street grade. Irish-born reservoir keeper John Wallace argued that his home mattered because he had a wife and 4 children to support. In February 1856, the court approved the assessor's report. The land officially became property of New York City. Many people left then. Others remained as tenants of the city, while funding and plans for construction moved forward. By October 1857, the remaining residents were evicted. Research has found no evidence of physical conflict during the removal. The absence of recorded violence does not make the departure voluntary. Longtime residents still lost homes, proximity, institutions, and refuge. Families dispersed through New York and beyond, breaking the geographic network that had made the village more than separate properties. Andrew Williams, one of the earliest purchasers, moved to Queens and used his compensation to buy another home. Elizabeth Harding McCollin, the first woman known to purchase there, continued investing and later left substantial charitable bequests. William Godfrey Wilson's family moved near the relocated All Angels Church, whose building was carried to the Upper West Side. Construction crews then removed structures, shifted earth, blasted rock, and reshaped the site into an engineered landscape that looked natural. Paths, lawns, plantings, and rockwork replaced the village's lanes and lot lines until the earlier geography became difficult to read. No known photograph or illustration shows Seneca Village as it existed. Every realistic image of it today is a reconstruction. What survives is fragmented: maps, deeds, censuses, church records, compensation papers, archaeological traces, and the descendants researchers can identify. In the early 1990s, renewed historical research returned the erased community to wider public attention and prompted deeper investigation. Researchers combined the condemnation map with census, tax, church, and death records to reconstruct households that the park had obscured. In 2011, archaeologists opened a carefully controlled 8-week excavation at selected locations within the former village site. They uncovered part of the Wilson family house foundation and investigated the yards associated with Nancy Moore and the Webster family. The field season produced more than 250 bags of material, each fragment tied to a measured archaeological context. Dishes, buttons, personal care objects, writing tools, glass, pipes, and food remains restored texture to lives missing from photographs. They showed households purchasing beyond bare necessity, caring about hygiene, style, education, and the presentation of home and self. Ground-penetrating radar has identified features that may be grave sites. Researchers cannot confirm whether human remains are still present. Because excavation would risk disturbing burials, city guidance favors monitoring and protection rather than digging merely to settle the question. Today, signs and interpretive work identify the site, but most visitors still encounter ordinary paths, rock, trees, and lawn. The park is real public infrastructure. So was the community whose property and institutions were removed to create it. Seneca Village was not preserved intact beneath the grass. It was erased as a place, then recovered as evidence. Its forgotten victim was not a ruin underfoot, but a living network of ownership, worship, education, work, and belonging. Remembering that network does not require inventing a conspiracy. It requires seeing what the official map reduced to parcels. The next archive asks how another celebrated landmark replaced a neighborhood, Chavez Ravine, before Dodger Stadium.